Hey guys, Ja, founder of JRSP, the Johnson Reality Self Protection System, and also now fully certified Medusa Edge Weapon Instructor. So, real quick, let's talk about deployment of your blade and different types of blades. You know, you got folding blades and then you got fixed blades. I prefer fixed blades because there's just not a lot to go wrong when you're using a fixed blade. If you're going to use a folding blade, you need a good one. That's why I've always leaned toward cold steel if I was carrying a folder, because if I bought a cold steel knife, it was usually a cold steel knife that had the triad lock. I knew those things weren't going to fail. Those things are not folding up on my hand. But I go with fixed blades because I know that I could buy a inexpensive fixed blade and know that it's not gonna like have any, it's not gonna fold up because it's a fixed blade. This is a real inexpensive blade. That's what I love about the Takumi Talk Muted. Okay, not only the design, the fact that they went with an adequate steel for the job and then made it really, really, really affordable. This thing isn't going to break the bank. You don't need to go paying for $100 and up knife to defend yourself with. It's like I said in a prior video. When you use something like this for self defense, this is going to be taken, okay? Because there's going to be an investigation. This is going to be taken. But if you can prove at the scene that it was clearly, a self defense situation, you may not go to jail like right away, and hopefully not at all. But this is going to be taken from you, okay? Because a long, drawn out investigation is going to have to be done to determine, like, if you were in the right or if you were in the wrong and everything and stuff like that. They're going to need all the evidence. This is considered evidence. And so, in that time, if you're not on your way to jail, they've determined at that moment that the requirement is not needed for you to go to jail, well, still, you're going to be relieved of your self defense weapon. And the issue with that is this is what you're carrying for self defense. Now you don't have it. So, what if you run into another situation where you need to defend yourself and you need to defend yourself with lethal force, and this is the lethal force you're using? Well, you don't have it. So that's my issue with $100 plus knives, because in that regard you're gonna want to have knives that you can have a lot of as backups. And I don't just want to go spending like $100 to $200 on a knife all the time. So that's what I love about the Takumi Talk Muted and the K-Bar TDIs. They don't break the bank, and if I have to use them in a situation, guess what, I could have spares at a relatively inexpensive price. And this one gets taken by law enforcement for an investigation, well, I'm not in jail. I'm just going to go grab one of the spares until the investigation's over with, which investigation's going to probably take a long time. So you may or you may not ever get this back. You get what I'm saying? So that's something right there. The investigation is going to take months to even a year sometimes. So yeah, you're going to need another weapon, basically. So, with the Takumi Talk Muted, I carry it right down in the pocket, no clip on it whatsoever. It rides perfectly. And deployment is a huge thing that you need to work on. Being able to get your weapon out and into the situation. My instructor, Brian Kanata, if you follow any of his content, he is stabbing his bob up with a live blade. He butchers his bob, and I totally agree with why he does it that way. Basically, he trains with a live blade on his bob for realism. And so I totally get, understand, and agree with that. The only issue that I have with that at this time is that I paid a lot of money for my bob and only got one of them. So to put holes into this bob, like, I just don't want to do that. I plan on getting another bob, and then I'll probably start training on this bob with a live blade. But until then, I'm using this tack knives trainer. It makes a good kind of representation of my Takumi Talk muted, even though they are shaped a little bit different. It's an okay reference. I think I prefer the forward grip due to the fact that it is beneficial to how I carry down in the pocket and the type of blades that I use with these pressure retention sheaths. It's easier for me to pull the blade up and deploy it out of the sheath in forward grip than it is in a reverse grip. For me to draw this in reverse grip in the pocket, I would have to leash it up with a string or something and attach it to my belt loop. So then when I reach down into the pocket and pulled it up, the leash basically would snag on the sheath, like allowing the knife to be freed from the sheath, and then I would be able to do what I need to do. I have carried that way sometimes. I don't prefer it, saying as I carry a fixed blade. Now, if you carried folders like my instructor Brian Kanata, he carries folders that have waveable features, like that you may find that reverse grip at that point is a lot better option for you. I just don't prefer folders because with folders there's a lot more chances for things to go wrong. Now, that being said, I'm not saying that Brian Canada just absolutely prefers folders. He is a knife guru, like Filipino martial arts guy. He has an extensive collections of probably folders, but I know he has an extensive collection of fixed blades as well, and he trains with them. But I believe he told me in the place in the job that he works, he is limited to what he can carry. So when he's at his job, he is carrying a folder that could probably be easily explained away. Like if somebody's like, "Oh, like why you got that?" Whereas maybe carrying a type of fixed blade would be harder to explain. But yeah, that being said, that's why I feel I prefer the forward grip because it just lends to how I carry my knife. And like I said in a video on YouTube, I carry down in the pocket, no clip, no belt clip, no um, pocket clip or anything. And this is just how I prefer to carry. This is just comfortable to me. You are only going to carry if it's comfortable. If it's super uncomfortable for you to carry, you're not going to carry that. And I found that carrying down in the pocket is super comfortable. So the type of knives that I purchase have to like basically lend to that style of carry because if they're not if it's a knife that goes down in the pocket and then like falls sideways like this right here and that's just how it rides and whatever, and it's hard to draw like out of my pocket when it like only seconds count and I need to get it out, and maybe somebody else is coming like with their own knife or something like that and I can't even get my own knife out. Well, that's not going to be a good knife to carry. So I only carry knives that I trust in the type of carry position that I carry. And this is a great one. The K-Bar TDIs are good. I've had other knives that are good for that. Even this Takumi Talk, I believe it is the Ninja. Even this carries relatively well just down in the pocket. It just depends upon the knife, but this one right here is a larger knife as well as just completely down in there, and I can, and that would be a very bad day for somebody right there. That how that knife is designed and just how long it is. I mean, somebody's probably not gonna survive that. And the thing is, that's like horrific and horribly sad. But if you're in a position where you're having to use Medusa, that means that you better know that the situation called for it. And that's why I personally am the one who is campaigning and pushing Medusa less lethal. That's why I've been carrying less lethal devices for years, because I am a big knife guy, but I understand that this is the last thing that I want to have to use. This is the last resort that I want to have to go to. I don't want to have to stab somebody, because if I stab somebody, that's lethal force. If I'm using lethal force, I'm using it to end the threat so I can get out of there. But usually when that's like end of threat, whatever means necessarily, if I have to, whatever I have to do. And My only concern is getting to safety, and after that, I'll worry about the condition of the threat. After the threat is neutralized and I'm safe and alive, then I'll worry about the threat. And here's the thing: I've heard people say, shut up, don't talk to the cops, and whatever, because the cops ain't on your side. But one thing I'll tell you, what you need to do is you need to get your side of the story out there first. You don't need to try and hide anything. You don't need to try and dispose of the weapon or whatever, or try and run from the situation. If you have to use lethal force like this in a situation, because I've seen people, they panic, and you know what they do, they ditch the weapon and then they pretend like they don't know what's going on, they play stupid and whatever. Nikolai Mew from the Apple River stabbing trial, it's like, I'm sure that if he would have handled things differently, he may not be in jail for the rest of his life. The guy who, I can't remember the the case name, but he was at a party with his girlfriend, and it was her brother's birthday party, and a fight broke out between him and everybody, because everybody hated him. Basically, he didn't even want to be there, but he was there for his girlfriend, and she was trying to cheat on him with this other dude. Apparently, I think she was already cheating, according to how the story was. Like, that was never fully said, but, and that's neither here nor there right now. But she was in a hot tub with this other dude who she'd been freaking, like, using against her actual boyfriend. She shouldn't have never been in a hot tub with that dude, but she panicked because she was in a hot tub with that dude. Why did she panic? Probably because she was doing something wrong in that hot tub. The freaking boyfriend, like, wasn't even, he was completely unaware, but she panicked and was panicking. So then everybody thought that he had done something to her. So then it was her brother's birthday party, and he didn't even like this dude. So then he freaking, like, kind of sicked everybody on this dude. So they're like attacking him in the CTC video or whatever at his cabin. You could clearly see that, he's being shoved. He gets shoved so hard up against the car that he just goes flying. And so when that happened, he pulled a knife out of his car and he started stabbing the closest dude that was to him, and that dude died on the scene. And so then what did he do? Him and his girlfriend, they jumped in the car, sped off, left the scene, and um he went to a friend's house, and there's a video at the friend's house, security video, clearly showing him ditching a knife in the bushes at his friend's house. Okay, and then they told her lies and stuff like that. If you have to stab somebody in self-defense, because there's another case where a chick was in a smoke shop or something, and she didn't want no beef with this girl, but they had beef, but she didn't want no smoke at that point in time, and that chick waited outside for her because she was going to kick her ass, and then the smoke shop forced the other girl out because they didn't want none of that coming in the store. And when she got out, the other girl was trying to kick her ass, and the one girl had a knife, so she stabbed the girl. The girl died on the scene right there. What did she do? She left the scene, went home, and then she hid the knife in in the ductwork or something of her house and stuff like that. Once again, okay, there's cameras everywhere. You're not going to fool the cops. There's going to be an investigation. They're going to get to the bottom of it, okay? And if you are sitting there lying, being uncooperative, hiding evidence, even the scene, what's going to happen is, it's going to make you look really guilty, and you're probably going to end up in jail for the rest of your life. I wouldn't say, if you have to do that, don't, and there's a bunch of people, don't stay on scene, leave the scene, and get to a place where it's safe to call the cops and tell them your story, have them come to you and turn yourself in right then and there, or drive to your nearest police station and turn yourself in, because you know it's gonna happen. You're not gonna, they're gonna find out, and you need to tell your side of the story as clearly as you remember it, like no deviation. If you were in the right, stick to that story, and hope for the best, because these type of situations are bad. Always hope that you never have to be in this type of situation. That's why I always say at the end of most of my videos, whenever you can, it's always better just to walk away. I only carry weapons and stuff because I know that the world's a big place and all the dangers are very real. But I'm also carrying less lethal. I'm also trained in empty hand techniques. I don't want to have somebody's blood on my hands. But yeah, so just always remember to, just walk away if you can, and don't try and run from the cops. Don't try and hide the weapon and stuff like that. Because I mean, get your initial statement. You don't have to talk to the cops extensively. Get your initial statement out there. Tell them exactly how to stick to that, and then let your lawyer do the rest. But hey, guys, uh, this is John with JRP, and now also the Medusa Edge weapon system. You guys take it easy.